The G-Wade Podcast with Deacon Dirty.
What up, y'all? It's your boy G-Wade holding it down, G-Wade Podcast, and I'm kicking it alongside with my man Deacon
Dirty.
And we got a special guest in the building.
What's up, everybody?
All the way from the West Coast, from the dirty South to the West and back to the dirty South.
Exactly.
Tameka Wright is in the building. What's happening?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely.
It's such an honor.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I came across you on a show. You were singing. And I was like, and I caught my ear, so I turned to look, and so I turned the volume up even more. I was like, okay.
Like the voice.
Aww.
Like the voice.
Like the voice, right? Yeah. I
Y'all
felt like
are
Usher,
too
one of them. You know what I'm saying?
kind.
You know what I
Thank
mean?
you. Well, I tell you what, it was really on a whim that I ended up being on that show. Actually, it's kind of interesting how it worked. And I know y'all are going to just be like, this is kind of a crazy story. But, you know, with the pandemic and everything, I'm so accustomed to being able to sing, lead in worship, singing in choirs, things like that.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we all are. We all miss church. Everything's shut down. But I just got in this rut emotionally one day, and I was just like, you know, transitioning back from Los Angeles to Atlanta, which I never thought I would do.
You was out there living your best life. Too.
Oh, yeah. I was living on the beach in Newport, okay?
You know what?
Kobe lived up the hill from where I live.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I could walk out to the beach every morning. Like, yeah, it's a total different shock to be
That's
back,
what they call
really.
a permanent vacation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was feeling really down, kind of sad, and I just began to kind of pray about that. And I just gave my emotions to God, really, because I was missing music.
Okay.
I was missing singing. And 2 days later, the call came out of the blue. Hey, can you please come and sing on the show?
But now, did you get the call because you had kind of pursued it?
I never
or-
pursued anything.
Okay, gotcha.
Got the call. I actually had some connections there at the station. But yeah, I really do believe that it's just as simple as God just put it on their heart, and then they called me.
Wow.
Like it's that serious.
Now, did they know you were in LA?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the individuals that actually host the show were hosting on that night.
Right.
Actually, we go way back.
Okay.
Way back. Actually, Pastor John Citizen was my youth pastor growing up. So he knew me ever since I was like 15 years old. So they've known my progression throughout my entire life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about your entire life, let's talk about your entire life,
Yes,
shall we?
yes, let's get into it.
So let's go back to back when you were here born and raised here in Atlanta.
I was born and raised here, y'all.
Are you a Grady baby?
I am. And that's what makes
Are you a Grady
official.
baby, Deke? You're a Grady baby, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me
Okay.
tell you, that's what makes you official. Everybody in Atlanta knows. Like, if you're Fulton County Grady baby, then you're official.
You're official.
Yeah.
So that makes you a peach for sure.
Put a stamp on her.
That
Put a
puts
stamp on her.
the official
Certified.
stamp on
Certified.
it. And I tell you what, I actually grew up in Adamsville, which is South
Deke, like I lived there too.
SWAT, yeah. So
Where's that at? I don't
right
know.
on MLK. So Martin Luther King
the
actually,
west side.
West
every
side, okay.
every hood, even in Los Angeles, there's a MLK. When you
MLK.
go to Chicago, there's an
Let me
MLK.
take you to Southeast DC, and
You'll
see
find an
MLK.
MLK. But it's always known, right, that
Right.
MLK is the hood.
Right.
So, but that's
Unfortunately.
where, unfortunately. But you know what? I look back on it and it really bursts character in me. So I don't
Absolutely.
look at it as a negative thing.
Yeah.
But I grew up in an area, you probably hear about it. It's a project area called Allen Temple on MLK.
Okay, you blowing his mind.
It's a lot of rappers come out of there, you know?
Okay.
Killer Mike.
Bankroll Fresh didn't make
What's
it.
it
but
called again? Allen
Temple.
Allen Temple.
Allen Temple.
And that's the name of the projects. I mean,
That's the name of
apartments?
the apartments that are
Okay,
famous.
Okay.
I think 21 Savage even tried to claim it, but
He
we
from
later
Europe or
found out
something,
he
right?
was from Europe.
Yeah, across
So
the pond.
he was from
Right.
across the pond, but everybody
It's a
wants
vibe,
to.
you know what I'm saying?
It's a vibe, really it is. Everyone wants to claim it, but really it was the hard knock life, and
Okay.
but it teaches character. But that's where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, was growing up there, I guess we're saying that is on the other side of the tracks. So
Oh,
was
yeah.
growing up there for you? Was that a rough growing up, or was that a family field growing up? Was it mom and dad in the house?
Good question. Actually, I had my mom and my dad in the home.
Okay.
And actually, I remember my childhood being really fun. I remember playing outside until the street lights came on. I remember, having my friends in the neighborhood. So it really, the candy lady in the neighborhood.
That was my aunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Aunt Beverly was the candy lady.
Exactly.
She
So
was
I
stingy on the candy. Though.
Exactly. Like, come on off that candy.
Right.
But, it was fun times. That's where I fell on my bike and scraped my knee and did all that stuff. So it's the memories. But I remember, towards the latter part of the 80s when the crack epidemic really spiked in every city across the nation. It was no different in my neighborhood. And that's when my parents, who were both hardworking entrepreneurs.
What do they do?
Well, my dad actually has a commercial cleaning business. My mom has an assisted living facility, and she is a nurse.
Okay.
So, but that's not what they were doing at the time. They were really just trying to get on their feet, and they both were working together with the cleaning company.
Gotcha.
And, because that's before my mom was able to go back to school and do all of that. So, they were just doing the best they could to work to provide. But when the crack epidemic happened and crime and gangs began to just kind of infiltrate the community more, that's when we relocated out to the suburbs, kind of like everybody does,
Loaded up the Lincoln, moved to Beverly.
The Buick. It was the Buick. And it was the one that had the hole in the carpet in the floor.
Oh, wow.
Where you could see the ground.
You could see the ground?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what part of the suburbs? Where'd you go?
So actually we moved to West Atlanta, which, closer to like Alabama, Douglas County area.
Familiar? I don't know where that is.
Oh my goodness! Come on,
DC all day.
All right.
Well,
we're gonna give you a pass for now.
I love Atlanta. That's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? But,
yeah, and Atlanta is very different than the suburbs. We will say that because we know even in this past political climate, right? Atlanta is a blue. It's known to be totally blue, but out there where we relocated to was totally red. It was totally a culture shock. I mean, I was in a magnet program school in Fulton County, Peyton Forest, which is famous for producing really high intellectuals. And then you move out to the red part of the suburbs and I just remember feeling like a fish out of water there. Wow. Because I'm coming from a school where you take Swahili and African dance and Spanish and it was a Magnum program school.
That's right. That's nice.
Highly rated. And then I'm going out here to these kids that are I'm stepping over fights and people getting knocked out in the hallways, trying to get to my locker. So it was just like, what in the world is going on here?
This is elementary?
No, this is
middle school.
Middle school. So I'm around 7th grade at this point.
Gotcha.
When I'm in this suburb middle school, drugs and gangs, which you would think it would be the opposite. That would be in the inner city. Yeah. But for me, that was not the case. So it was really ugly. And so eventually, my parents, I just begged them, because they were doing a little bit better in business, and I just said, can I choose a different school?
Wow.
And so they allowed me.
Go back there no more.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, I don't like this. And so I asked them, could I choose a different school? And they allowed me to. And so I ended up going to private school after that. I'm not going to say that it was a whole lot better because it was a private religious school. Now, what we know about that is that there's more drugs, more, craziness. What? It's just more hidden. It's just more hidden.
Father Flanagan.
Exactly. We're laughing, but it's so serious. You know what I mean? It's bad. But that was, that was the progression. That was the transition.
Okay. So drugs and stuff was prevalent in your middle school.
Yeah, but I had a mom who the kids would joke and say my mom was Pastor Wright. So she didn't play. So I knew at that point in my life, no drugs were being done. Yeah. At that point in my life, I was scared straight and, a very naive, sheltered young girl.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you grow up in the church?
Oh, yeah, all my life. And actually, that's where I discovered that I could sing. I remember singing at around 6 years old.
Their talent in church.
Yes.
Don't sing, baby.
Exactly. And, and I just remember getting up there and singing. And I remember the feeling that I had getting off stage at 6 years old. And I remember, like the elders handing me money. And I was thinking I could do this, but that's, that's where you find out, what your gifts and talents truly are.
Okay. And so knowing that, did you use those gifts and talents in middle school, where there are plays, the glee club, the choir, you know how the music class, the teacher always puts together the choir.
Oh, yeah.
I sang in the glee club. Can I get it out? Glee club myself.
Yeah. I actually just remember, I have fond memories of singing at every stage in life. So in elementary school, I sang. Even at my elementary graduation, I sang. My middle school, I sang. I created and formed a girls singing group at every school I was at. You know, so
what was the first group?
The group was called Eternal, and we won we actually won a talent show by singing the Clark Sisters, Is My Living in Vain.
Wow, why did that pop in my head before you even said it? When you said,
because that's a common talent show song, you know. It's a common
gain up in here,
man. And then when you break it down with no music at the end, and everybody's just
that's funny.
So that was the name of the group. I don't even know. We came up together with the name mutually.
Yeah.
But so I mean, it was really my story that I was singing all throughout my life growing up, middle school. So.
And so, what middle school was that?
It was actually Chapel Hill Middle School in Douglas County.
Familiar, Deke? Where'd you go, Deke?
I was inside of 285 the whole time.
So is that middle school still exists? Because I know mine's is tore. They changed it or tore it down or something.
Yeah, it does. I think it does. Yeah.
Okay.
What middle school did you go to? inside of 285.
I gotta say it on air.
Okay, never mind.
What's going on? You been telling somebody something else?
I need my 1400, G. I need my 1400.
But they gonna mess with the STEMI? How they gonna mess with the STEMI? They ain't coming. I thought they would. I read something where they said like collectors and all that kind of stuff can't mess with the STEMI.
Was that recent?
I just read it maybe a couple days ago.
Okay.
I think you good in these streets, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're like it ain't hit my account yet. All right. So from what was middle school again?
So middle school was Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill.
It was kind of known to be the wealthier school or the school with the good kids.
And those usually the ones out there.
But it was bad.
Doing the drugs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because they can hide in plain sight.
Exactly.
Predominantly
white.
Yeah, they can hide in plain sight.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Predominantly
Meanwhile,
yeah, right.
Back in the jungle,
right? Exactly.
You know what I mean? So then you go leave there and go where?
And so after that, I went to high school at Colonial Hills, which no longer is in existence.
Okay.
But it was a very small Christian school, but it was under the Southern Baptist. Umbrella. So I can tell you right now, we had to have 6 feet between girls and guys.
Really?
Your skirt had to come to your knees.
No lipstick. What you wearing right now could not have existed.
Come on. Come on. Really?
Wow.
Yeah, no, none of that. So, it was kind of strict, but I liked, for the school to be more quiet than what I was accustomed to in middle school. And so it was a place where I just allowed it to work for me, and I thrived there. I played sports. I, excelled in academics because I could focus. And so it was just really more chill.
What was your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject has always really centered around anything where I could just read and comprehend. So literature, I really always, and I love writing. I've always been a writer. So anything where I could, express opinion freely, but even though you couldn't really do that there, writing.
And it was unisex. It was, you said boys and girls, right?
It was boys and girls.
That had to be kind of, well, maybe not. I think if it was an all girls school, it would be kind of rough because I think stuff like that creates something.
What do you think it creates?
I think,
and then I'll tell you
a sexual tension.
Yeah,
that's
you
what
think?
I think it does.
You think?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Among other tensions, okay? Oh, come on. Let's keep it real.
Like, please don't let it awaken something in me. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, it's the truth.
It's facts, right?
I mean, because there's a lot of people that were, over-sexualized due to it during that time.
Right.
So
I say that because I remember when I was in school, I went to regular high school.
Yeah.
But we would leave and go up to Regina High School, which was an all-girl Catholic school. And we wait for them to get out.
Oh, Lord. Say no more.
Right. So that's
I
why,
already know. And we know where you were going there.
Of course. We always stand outside. You just all of a sudden start seeing them pop their heads in the window.
The stereotype was true, huh?
Yeah, it's real.
It is real.
It's real.
But see, my mother really wasn't playing all that.
What's that movie? Earth Girls Are Easy?
Yeah, the B movie, something like that.
Yeah, I think Jeff Goldblum. But this was Church Girls.
It's true.
Are easy.
Dot.
Right.
It's crazy to say, but it's true.
It's true.
So I have to agree with you.
In fact, I think they even said, I know they even said it's either 2 can play that game with Vivica Fox.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's one of them. Maybe it's 3. 3 can play that game. It's one of those where they say that and they talk
Yeah.
about the girls in church, and I was like, dang, bro.
Yeah, everybody knows that. It's unfortunate.
Why is that though?
Because we're not allowed to have or explore our own freedom in our thinking. You know, like we're not able to do that because everything it's a sin. Like instead of, you know, teaching us to own our bodies. Like I remember being a young girl and, you know, when I was really, you know, coming into my own, and I remember a Sunday school teacher saying to my mother, "Oh, you're going to have to lock her in the closet." You know, and I remember looking, you know, kind of confused and saying, "Why?"
Is this because they are watching you develop? Is that
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not because they were watching the way you were acting out there. It was just watching
Exactly,
you grow
because
into
I was
yourself.
very timid as, you know, a young girl, very, like I said, naive, very sweet and humble. I wasn't thinking about those things. But when she said that, it did make me feel negative about my own development.
Wow.
But I would have preferred to have someone say, you know, own it. Because that's what we need our young girls to do, is to own and understand that your body is your own and it doesn't belong to anybody else. But see, these are the types of things that are causing the confusion. Because everything's a secret.
Yeah, no, this is very interesting.
It's almost like a form of body shaming. Like
It is body shaming. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, in reverse, I guess you can almost say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does,
Okay, because
actually.
To say that, and I'm saying this for this reason, because you said you heard them say that,
Yeah.
and it gave you a complex about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really
like I
bothered
always
me.
tell people with their kids, like, listen, don't say things to your kids because it'll give them, even if you think you're just saying something. Oh, look at you with that little thing on your head. It'll give them a complex.
It's funny, but it's true.
Right. You know, for 17, 18-year-old, okay, they can kind of deal with
Right.
it. But a 5-year-old,
I was like 12.
Don't get it.
I was like
12-year-old,
12,
right, yeah.
13, you know?
Yeah.
And I was
yeah.
trying to figure things out. And it immediately made me feel, you know, difficult to own the
because
the
now you
development.
started looking at yourself like,
yeah, like maybe I
I'm
should
growing
put a
too
sheet
fat.
over this, or maybe I should. Oh, I definitely wasn't fat. I just, you know,
You was developing.
I was developing,
Yeah.
and
But
it was what it
endowed.
was. Exactly,
You know
and
what
it
I'm
is
saying?
what it is.
It is what it is. Okay. Okay. So then, how did you start to, I guess, move after hearing that and have to, you know, with those feelings?
You know, I learned to toe the line in those type of environments, in that school environment. But eventually, I know that it just became overbearing, and so you
And
know,
is that because the guys are now like,
oh no, it was just the
prairie
teachers.
dogging?
The teachers,
Oh.
because for example, when we went to prom, for example, I think the straps on your dress had to be a certain inch, and they
the
really
width?
would take a certain width, and they would really take a ruler
wow.
and measure it. And you had to wear like a shawl over it, which just totally destroyed the fashion sense of my dress. Okay. I went to the boutique to get my dress.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
totally upset. I had to cover it all. But you
It was
know,
like they were putting their fears on you, you know, on the
Yeah.
kids.
As they do, as most people do.
yeah. And they were putting their own, you know, if you have some sort of issue with, you know, sexual perversion or something like that, that's your issue. But then
Right.
you're trying to, you know, put that over onto someone else, and that's not fair, but that's really what it stems from, I do believe. So yeah.
Okay. So you moving through high school, are you still singing? Are you forming another girl group? Is Eternal still alive? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I tell you, once I, you know, left the elementary school, middle school area, I wasn't still going to the same church. I actually grew up in Dale Bronner's church at Word of Faith Cathedral.
Daryl C. Bronner.
And so the girls that were a part of Eternal, that girl group, we all went to the same church.
Okay.
But by the time I transitioned out of middle school to like high school, I started going to a different church because they didn't really have a strong youth group, and I wanted that.
Okay.
And so I transitioned to another church that was on the west side of Atlanta then. And so, no, I was singing in my local choir at that church. It was a non-denominational church, but predominantly white.
Okay.
And I learned a lot in those situations too.
Did you learn that every pastor don't hoop?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Shana and stuff.
And then I also learned you get out of church at like 11:30 a.m.
So I can see the game. You know what I'm saying?
So we can, go
Right,
get
right.
something to eat.
Beat traffic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we can get there first at Golden Corral.
There you go. That's funny. True that. Yeah, that's the same thing for me when I started venturing out to other churches. I started realizing, and I didn't grow up in church. I came to church later in life.
Okay.
But when I did, that's what I thought kind of church was.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I didn't have a problem with it because I enjoyed it because it really changed me. You know what I mean? But when I started visiting other churches, I was like, and other, not just like black churches, white churches, I guess that's what we call them, and denominations. It's like, oh, they do it different here.
Totally different.
Oh, okay. Oh, one offering. Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a big
So there's
deal.
no church fund? Okay. We
Yeah.
don't do the pastor
The building fund.
the building fund. There you go.
But you want to know something interesting that I did find in those churches, and that's the reason that I think I stayed as long as I did, was because I was looking for a strong youth group, but I noticed that we had the opportunity to go on missions. It was,
that's nice.
during the time that I was at those churches, I really traveled the world. I mean, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, all South America.
Really?
That was the
Nice.
first time I went to California, actually. First time I saw Skid Row was on, missions with the church. And so I remember going out to California and working on Skid Row under the bridges in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I said, you know
And they're
what?
saying that under the bridges now.
It was bad
crazy.
then, but it is really, really,
Yeah.
really bad now, especially with the pandemic. A lot of
Right.
people are having hard times, lost their jobs, and it is like one of the most expensive states in the
Hell yeah,
nation. So,
expensive.
people are really struggling. And so the homeless rate in California has really steadily increased, and it's a very sad thing.
Yeah.
With the drugs and everything that they have, it's really sad. And so, but I, first experienced that at a young age.
Right.
And that will build character and compassion for people. And so, but I had learned that through those churches. I would have
Nice.
never been able
Yeah.
to travel and see something different, which all hood kids should see,
Absolutely.
because it sparks you to dream.
It gives you.
It
gives you something, like you said, something gives you something to dream about.
obtain.
Absolutely, you get to vision more.
Exactly.
I always tell. I got this saying. I say, "Smell the carpet."
Yeah. Okay. I never heard that one.
Wait,
Smell the carpet.
Smell the carpet. And I say that because it's like if you get into a new car, you know that new car smell. If you've never gotten into a new car, you would never know what the new car smells like.
That is true.
But so I use the smell the carpet as a euphemism. Is that the right word? Like 'cause
Yeah.
when I used to do freelance video stuff with these reality shows, it was with a production company. They would go to these mansions and stuff. They film in mansions.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is, this is better than my one bedroom. You know what I'm saying? But
Exactly.
you're smelling the carpet.
Yeah.
So it became
get
that.
it.
So now
I get
it
it.
triggers a sense.
It does.
So if you can go to Nicaragua or
wherever,
it
wherever.
triggers a
somewhere different outside of your neighborhood.
Hello.
It triggers
It triggers something.
yes, ambition and a dream.
Yeah.
Because it was in California that I looked up and said, one day I'm going to live here. And it just so happened later in life that God made that happen.
That made that happen.
Yeah.
My only, not the only dream, but one of the dreams in life for me was to hike up to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it. How long ago was that? Like a year ago? That was literally like 2 years ago.
Isn't it fun?
But I'm just saying, that was from when I was here.
Yeah.
And I've never been to California.
And you'll never forget that, though. Never forget it.
Yeah.
And the view from up there.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it breathtaking?
Man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
That's what
There's
I'm
nothing
saying.
like it. So that's what I'm saying. Smell the carpet.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So now we making our way through high school. We're a good student where we're A, B, C.
You know what?
Where are
I'm
we?
going to keep it all the way real. I never really worked. I never really cracked the book.
Okay.
But I did well.
All right.
I
You
graduated.
pay for good grades now.
No, I didn't. You look at you. Is that what you did now?
And I was a C, B minus.
It's all
student.
good. Most
Yeah.
millionaires I know were.
Hello, you see my pockets.
You know, I actually, honestly, I didn't study much, but I was always a good student. And I think that's just because I have a photographic memory of sorts, and
Right.
I just kind of learned by just listening. So, but I did well, and I actually got what they used to have was a scholarship they had was a Hope Scholarship if you had a certain GPA, and I kept that all throughout college.
Gotcha. Where'd you go?
I went to the University of West Georgia.
Okay.
Party school. University of Georgia, number 2.
Okay.
It's a party school.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
What'd you major in?
Political science pre-law.
Okay.
The dream was at the time that I was going to be an attorney.
Why so? What was the pull? What was the attraction
I don't
to
know.
that?
I don't know.
Money? Did you think because it was
No.
prestige?
I don't know if I thought it was the money. I think that my family always said, "Oh, you'll be," because I always was highly opinionated, highly strong. You know what I mean? And so my family would always say, "Oh, you need to do,
Right.
you need to be an attorney." And I think that's why it was.
Gotcha.
I never really truly. That's too much reading for me. Now I love reading, but that was too much.
That was too much.
That was too much.
So political science, thinking about being an attorney, and then what changed? What switched? When did it switch?
Oh, I tell you. Oh, it was, and I look back on my life and everything. When you look back on it, it was just totally God. Every step of the way, His hand was just weaving, everything together. But one day, poor college student, I'm walking across the student, center, and I'm thinking about, I need a job. And I see a printout for investigations, internal investigations.
Okay.
And it said Six Flags. Well, I had worked for Six Flags. That's my first job at 15 years old, selling lemonades and cotton candies.
Okay.
So I was like, this, maybe.
Like I'm familiar with them.
I'm familiar with it,
Right.
not knowing anything about this job offering or anything or the career
Internal
path.
investigations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it actually, when I read it, I was really terrified because I was thinking, what in the world is that? But I just, being a poor college student, I just needed money. So anyways, I call and they say, hey, you want to come in for an interview? I go in for the interview and I meet my boss, who would actually be a mentor to me throughout the rest of my entire life. Unfortunately, he did pass away last year. And so rest in peace to him. But I went into the interview and he looked at me and he said, I'm going to give you a chance. And I was thinking to myself, I don't have any experience in anything. And he was like, that's good, because I'm going to train you from the ground up.
From the ground up.
But later did I know that it was my foot in the door in that position that would open the door to all of the other companies that I would go to throughout my career in corporate America, all the way up to Disney.
Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute. So what did that position consist of? What was the responsibilities?
So even though it was called investigations, later the position would be called advisory and assurance. And so basically what you're doing is you're an advisory board to departments like employee relations, human resources, the attorneys that work there. It's who's going to be terminated, who's going to be retained, what is the amount of reserve that we have, as far as how much money are we saving, things like that. So you're an advisory board to the leadership team.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And how long did you work there? How long
And I'm just telling you, I was not qualified
winging it?
to go into that door. But I'm just so thankful that someone,
took the chance.
took their and put their arms around me
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, I'm going to teach you this whole thing."
Nice.
And I took that opportunity and ran with it. So that's one of the things that kind of deterred me from becoming an attorney, because I learned that I could make money doing this, and that I found that I was really good at it. So, yeah.
Nice. And so this is at Six Flags.
Yeah, that's where I started.
That's where you started.
That's where I started.
Now, how long did you work there?
Well, I started when I was 15 years old, and so
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my
Did he go
first.
to work at 15?
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, I was selling lemonades and cotton candies.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was not all that great.
On that
But
hot
in
sun.
standing on that black top all day, oh my
yeah.
goodness.
No
But
wind.
Bacon. Yeah.
But back then I was so fit because I played basketball and I ran and all that. But I just remember running across that park all day, and I don't know how I never got tired. But later, I'm sitting in the office, and it was an office job. But so I worked there off and on until I want to say I was in my 20s after college. Because then after college, then I progressed to some other companies and did the same role for other companies, Dillard, Sears, Macy's, on up,
Gotcha.
things like that, and then eventually found my way to Disney.
Okay, yeah. So how did Disney come about? Was that
So actually, my colleague from Six Flags, who we started the teams together, he actually transitioned out to Disney. He had his second in charge
in L.A.?
in Los
In Los
Angeles.
Angeles, yeah.
Yes, and he had his second in charge who she was suffering with like muscular sclerosis or something. She had been there 33 years. And so he said, I really need someone strong to come and support this team. And so I told him, I said, if I do this, it may just be 3 years. I don't know how much time I'm going to devote to this.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and I fell in love.
What year was this?
This was in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all your life here in Atlanta, it was in 2014 when you went full circle from when you said, I'm going to one day live here. And now in 2014.
Oh, actually, that happened in my teenage years when I was traveling in the missions trips and going out there. Because I would go to California almost every summer on missions with the youth group. But that was probably when I was maybe 15 or 16.
Okay.
When I decided I wanted to live in California.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So
yeah. So it did take a little bit of time, but I was definitely much older.
Yeah.
When I got the opportunity.
Yeah. LA is not a town that, it ain't for the faint of heart. You gotta.
It's hard to make it.
Yeah.
If you can make it in LA or New York, you can make it anywhere.
I think probably harder in LA. I could be wrong, but I feel like it might be harder there.
I didn't want to say it, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, because the people that I know that live there, who one always talking about how expensive it is.
Yeah.
I know somebody right now, and I'm not totally going to I ain't going to say who it is, but $3,000 a month.
I have a one bedroom. Yeah, it was $3,200 a month for a one bedroom. Now,
That's
mind you,
somebody's annual salary.
I was on the beach though.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, hey, that was you
that's-
have to look
that's
at
the
something.
trade-off, right?
You got to look at,
No, I think.
But it's really expensive. We're talking about
Did you have a
900
roommate?
square feet.
Yeah.
No way. I actually, and that's why I say it was really God, because when I went out there, I was making more than enough and I was doing well.
Okay.
But I did notice in my neighborhood that there would be 5-6 people to one
place,
apartment.
yeah.
It's really difficult
Yeah.
to make it, but I was blessed enough to be able to make it and make enough for over one medium household income.
Okay.
Yeah.
So living out there on the beach,
Yeah.
that's when I would go down to Florida, when I first started going down to Florida, and I would go on the beach, and the people that I knew that lived there, and I'm like, y'all come out here every day? Y'all come out on the beach every day?
This surreal, right?
This is weird. You know what I'm saying?
I did.
But it just seemed weird to me because, I grew up in bricks. You know what I'm saying? It was
DC,
all
yeah.
DC. That's all I saw. You know what I'm saying? Was
that's true.
Concrete and no grass. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And to go down to Florida and you see green grass, you got the lake behind the house and the beach. I'm
And
like,
it's so
how you do
peaceful
this
and beautiful.
every day?
I
I don't know how I would go to work.
But you want to know something? In California, a lot of people don't. And to be honest with you, but I really, in a lot of ways, a lot of people work from home. They were already doing that pre-pandemic. And that's one of the reasons I do believe too. Marijuana is legal and everybody is high, and going to the beach every day.
Going to the beach every day.
Yeah.
And so you're out there. You're working at Disney now.
Yep.
But singing is still a part.
Yeah, but it took me forever. I'm not going to lie, guys. It took me forever to find a church. Okay, because, any city you go to, you can always, the church is going to be consistent where you can just get in and at least have a release until you can find your footing in the musical environment that you're in. So, but it took forever. It took almost 2 years to find a church for me. Okay. But when I did find one, I was so happy with it. They had 5 choirs.
Wow.
I mean, like almost 200 people in the choir. This church actually was the first African American church placed in Orange County. It's been there 56 years.
Orange County is not.
It's not. Hello. Yeah. It's 0.03% black.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's a black mega church in Orange County is a huge deal.
Wow.
It's a huge deal. But so I love it. It's Friendship Baptist Church.
What's it called?
Friendship Baptist Church in Yorba Linda, California. Okay. Pastor Curry. Nice. I love it. Love it. Okay. Yeah.
Did you get involved in the choir?
Of course. I sang in like 3 different choirs, and I was on the praise team, led worship, did all that. Of course. That was my outlet.
Right.
Yeah.
But at some point, I guess the bug for singing kind of came back. I thought you were saying something that you kind of lost the.
Yeah, I think that, with the profession and everything, I did lose sight of it because the work hours, being on call, like traveling as much as I was, it just.
Stuck in traffic.
Yeah, or on the 405.
On the 405.
Okay, the 405 is, oh my goodness.
When I was out there, this was long before the pandemic. There was no traffic like that.
Where were you?
In fact, this was the year that, what was that, 2019, 2018? When did Nipsey Hussle get?
It was 2019, March 31st of 2019.
It was shortly after that, in April.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't bad. I mean, I'm not saying maybe it was
the time of day because I lived right off the 405 and it was literally hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hated it. Literally.
That's the one thing that everybody always.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to LA unless it was after 7:00 p.m.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But LA is nice, man. I love it. I mean,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to going back just to, I don't mind being a tourist. A tourist.
It's all right. Tomato.
Yeah, right.
Tourist. You got a little bit of that southern slang coming out.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't mind being one. I walk up and down and see the stars and.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I love Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard and LA Live and that whole area.
Right.
Like I feel like I was a continuous tourist. Like, California's so big. There's so much to discover.
Yeah.
And I was at a new beach almost every other week. Mm-hmm. I actually drove all the way from San Francisco all the way back down to Orange County. It was the most beautiful drive I've ever taken in my entire life.
Wow. Yeah, I like to drive up the coast and
it's beautiful.
See that,
yeah, and just take your time and really enjoy God's creation. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
So out there in LA, no love interest?
Oh goodness, here we go. This is where
you said
this is where the story takes a turn.
It takes a turn.
So okay. Yeah, so let me just say that before I left Georgia, I had met someone, and actually it was
here or there
in Atlanta.
Okay, in Atlanta.
And it was so funny how we met because I met the person. They lived in my neighborhood, and we quickly kind of hit it off. But I remember when I got ready to leave to go to California, it was kind of a sad time, and I was just like, I didn't want to leave that person behind, but I did ask him, what do you want to do? And trust me, guys, I know shacking up and doing all that type of stuff is completely wrong. But I didn't want to leave the person behind. But I clearly heard God the whole time saying, no, where you're going, he can't go.
Wow.
But I was so gung ho, and I said, no, he's going. Jesus, he's going because I won't. Yeah. So,
but I love him.
Right.
And so I quickly found, him coming out, to visit, and eventually he just
kind of fell off.
He showed up one day with all his bags at the door and
unannounced or
yeah.
No discussions about.
No discussions because I'm gonna tell you what happened. So crazy.
You saw that beach from.
This is what the drama. This is what
cool.
Yeah, this is where the drama really begins. Y'all hold on to your seat. So really, we're trying to do the long distance thing, and I am really trying to find my footing in California,
Right.
and transition to this new role. It's just a lot. It's too much stress. So I finally told him, hey, I don't think this is really working. So we just kind of, let bygones be bygones. You do you. And so right after that, what made the decision even easier was I got a call from another young lady. Believe it or not, her name was Tameka. And she called me and she said,
about them teas.
yeah, I've been involved with him too.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yeah, so that really was the straw that
And
broke
she
the
was
camel's
here.
back. And they were both in Atlanta because thinking I went to California for work, so I wasn't in Atlanta anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I called him and I told him, okay, it's over. And I would say 4 days after that, I got a knock on the door, and he was there at the door with all his bags.
Wow.
And let me just say this: the worst decision of my life was opening the door. And I should have, and I knew.
They don't have peepholes and
Oh, they had. look at y'all. You know what? I'm
dog.
gonna tell you, and you look back on it now and it's like, man, you feel so stupid, but it was definitely the worst decision of my entire life.
And why so? Now, what made it turn? Because now you look through the peephole, you see it's him. He has both his baby. You know what I'm saying?
Basically.
There's a song coming out of this. I know. If you haven't already written it, there's a song. Right.
Well, there's sermons that have come out of it. There's testimonies that have come out of it.
Peephole.
For sure.
Funny.
Yeah.
Bags in the hand.
Y'all got
That's
jokes.
funny.
But I know there's some ladies out there listening to this that'll totally understand where I'm coming from.
But I want to know why it became the worst decision, because it was working, seemed like, but because of the distance.
Oh yeah, it seemed like it was perfect.
So you're saying she was the reason why it got worse. He didn't say, nah, hey, baby. You know
well, her
That's just
calling
my
me.
friend. You know what I'm saying?
Well, her calling me, that let me know that he wasn't really serious about making that transition with me.
Okay.
And he, was clearly doing whatever he was doing there. And so I felt disrespected and slighted by that. So I just really wanted to cut him off. But he wasn't having it. So, he flew all the way to California, knocked on the door. I let him in. And, but I couldn't just let go of the fact of what he had done because, I just didn't appreciate it.
And you still had feelings for him.
Of course.
Yeah.
I really, really, really deeply love the person. You know what I mean? If I told him, hey, transition to California with me, that means that I really saw or thought I saw a future with the person.
Right.
So, when he got there, I tried to forgive and forget what happened, but then his actions were just still showing me that he wasn't serious and not emotionally mature. And so basically the relationship quickly, after he found that I was not really interested and it was going south, it quickly turned very verbally and physically abusive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, and plus, I would imagine that he's not working.
Exactly.
So you're the sole provider.
Yeah. Mistake number 2, ladies.
He playing the PS5. What was out at that time? PS2. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we didn't even have the PS. We didn't even have that game console in the house.
Oh, okay.
But, whatever he was doing. But, I'm working, still trying to focus on business and what I'm trying to do. And, but trusting that he would do what he needed to do to just get a job and then work and make it happen. So he
thought he was going to make you love him?
Yeah. And it wasn't happening.
I mean, to do pop-ups in the same city, that's one thing. But to pop up in a whole
jump on a plane,
cross the whole other coast.
Exactly.
The bags in the hand with no plan.
So you had no idea. He wasn't like, I'm coming out there. Forget that.
No. Actually, I had absolutely no idea.
Well, how you
I was sitting on
like Craig over there. You know what I'm saying? You could have been chilling with, you know what I mean?
Could have.
The beach dude. You know,
could have.
What's that beach out there? Venice Beach?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Could have, and he would have been, thoroughly embarrassed. But no.
Wow.
He just showed up.
And so how long did it last?
The relationship lasted off and on 5 years.
Okay. That's a good stretch, though.
I guess.
Yeah, it was different. You said like a year, but so that meant he was able to warm up to you in you know, in some way, because that's 5 years.
Yeah, in some ways. I tried to put it behind us, and I tried to move forward and do the best for the both of us.
So
Until G Wade brought it up.
like, way to go.
yeah.
So how long into it was the beginning of the end? Like, were you halfway through? They say with divorces, if you were married, say 10 years, you're divorcing half of that. You've been divorcing half that time.
I think that I always knew in my heart that it wasn't going to work, but I was really just wanting him there or wanting someone there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't comfortable with being out there by myself, doing all these things by myself, even though God told me to. I didn't want to. I was disobedient. That's what it was.
He told you not to. Let him come out there anyway.
I was clearly disobedient. And guess what, guys? I paid royally for it. And at the end of the day, it became, it was, let me just sum it up by saying this. It really was Bobby and Whitney / Ike and Tina to the 10th power.
Oh, wow.
It was very, very.
It was very volatile.
Very bad. And when I got to California, I wasn't a drinker at all, but it quickly.
Cheap vacation.
Quickly.
Yeah.
It quickly turned into that.
Turned into a drinker.
Drugs turned
you
into.
Got involved in, you know, the legalized weed now.
I got involved in Hollywood.
Wow.
You know, like.
Hooray for Hollywood.
Yeah, because one thing about him was that he was really connected in Hollywood circles, and I ended up going to.
So he knew people anyway.
He was originally from California, but he came to Atlanta to go to Morehouse, and so. You know, and that was part of me making the decision for him to come there anyways, was because I felt like he could help me make that transition.
Yeah.
But anyways, make a long story short, you know, going to the Hollywood parties, doing all of that, you know, getting involved in the Hollywood lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, because I see some of your pictures, you with Magic Johnson and who else did I see? Several.
Floyd Mayweather, Vivica Fox,
Vivica,
like a lot of people, and a lot of people that aren't photoed. Oprah, Beyonce, like a lot of people I've met. Will Smith, like
And so so was it outside of it being I guess the tumultuous relationship?
Yeah,
that the Hollywood lifestyle too is a draw all by itself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it was actually, you know, everyone is putting on their mask and their facade. You know, it's business, really. It's no different. Hollywood is no different than any other corporate America, you know, position. And so you have to understand that. Hollywood is very small. Everybody knows everybody. But there's a lot of drugs, a lot of craziness involved in that lifestyle, and that's obvious. I think we all know that. But I did get caught up in that.
And so how long were you caught up in it?
I would say for 2 years strong. For 2 years strong, you know. But the person I was with, I would say that they weren't a very good influence. And, you know, we were kind of doing those things together. And that's where the Bobby Whitney comparison comes in.
Yeah. Now, were you a functioning?
Oh, yeah, because I had to maintain a very high level position. And, you know, and I did. I did successfully. Yeah.
And so now did you pray it away? Did you counsel it away? Did you rehab it away? Did you one day get up and it was like, I had enough.
I'm tired.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good question. I think for a long time over those last 2 year period, I tried to go to the counseling and the therapy, and I remember just getting frustrated saying, I'm talking in this whole meeting, but I don't know how this is helping me. Not realizing that talking those issues out is helping you. Because when you first start and you're crying and you can't get everything out, you know, there's a strength that comes by being able to tell your story eventually. But I did do that. I did try, you know, counseling, therapy, all of that. But the only thing that worked for me, I had to come to a breaking point because, see, the relationship was getting so tumultuous. You know, cops are involved now. It's all kinds of craziness. So, you know, I'm hiding bruises and all these things. I'm still trying to function. You know, family's worried about me all the way 3,000 miles away. And so finally I got to the point where I said, God, you know, I don't know. I've made a mess of my life. I've totally destroyed everything. You have given me every answer to every prayer that I've ever asked you for, and here I am squandering everything. I need you to intercept my behavior, because if you don't, I'm not going to make it. And if you don't, I don't want to make it. I don't want to continue living my life like this. And actually, I laid in the middle of the floor one day, and I really just had that conversation. Now, that's what my heart was saying, because I can't say my mouth was really even saying all those words.
Yeah.
I couldn't articulate, but that's what my heart was saying. And so that was the beginning of God coming to save me. And he did come to save me in a very supernatural way.
And so at what point did the two of you, I guess, part ways?
So on my YouTube channel, I tell my testimony about how God called me into the prophetic. And it is very supernatural. And I just want to say that God still calls people in the same way that he called Ezekiel, Daniel, Moses, the same exact way. And I tell my story on my YouTube channel. But after that happened, I was actually baptized in the Holy Spirit, just like in Acts, in my home. And after that happened, I became a completely different person. And when I became a completely different person, I had a power because I had the Holy Spirit, and I had a strength. And I just remember, you know, he kept coming to the house, and after I had told him we're done and whatever, and he didn't want to accept that. But I'm just telling you guys clearly, Jesus rose up within me, and I told him what it was, and he just knew. He just knew something was different.
Right.
I can't really play these same games with this woman. Like, she's a completely different person.
Right.
And
With
it
a
was,
little bit of Alan Temple coming out, too.
hey, all right.
Let's not forget.
All right. So, you know, yeah, and he just knew that, you know, it was over.
That was it.
The gig was up.
Wow. And so, but at some point, the transition started to begin for you to come back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I know COVID played somewhat of a role in that as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how that happened, too, because once I was introduced into the prophetic, and I didn't know anything about this. Of course, I had looked up to different, you know, prophetic people and heard them, you know, speak. But nobody really tells the ins and outs of what that life is really like. I do. I talk about it freely. I'm not afraid. But I received a dream on December 27th of 2019 where God really detailed what would happen all throughout the year of 2020. I didn't know that's what he was doing, but he was really preparing me to transition back home. And actually he said that you're going to be going back to Atlanta, and that he was commissioning me.
And so I think you said in March of 2020, what did you mention? March? Something about March? I felt like you said something about.
That's when Disney really shut down completely.
That's when it shut down. Got you, right.
Because of COVID. You know, COVID was really starting to ramp up, and the laws in California are completely different than Florida.
Right.
And they were completely locking everything down.
Dang.
And that included business.
And so when they shut down, I mean, the money stops as well. There's not we're still paying you to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're furloughed,
You're
furloughed.
Yeah.
And you receive funds, but not nearly as much as what you were being paid before.
Not livable.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. Not in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so then now you're back on Atlanta soil, but you're here because, like I said, I saw you on the TV show. How did that come about? Because how long were you here before that came about?
I actually transitioned back in December.
Last year.
Yes, back home. So actually, you know, my family, my friends, my pastor, they all knew that I was back, but I kind of was just under the radar because I've been in the process of writing a book and doing some other things. And so it actually came about because, like I explained, you know, I was really feeling the loss from not being able to sing, not having an outlet at church, not singing in the choir. And I really just prayed one day and was like, okay, God, you know. Well, first the conversation really was, you know, God, I know that you have called me to the prophetic and you want me to speak. But it was prophesied over my life when I was a kid that I would sing. So, but if that's what you want me to do, then you have to show me some signs that you want me to do that here, you know. And like I said, 2 days later, I got the call. It's just that simple.
And the rest is history.
And I just went and I sang, and, you know, it is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now Tameka Wright is back here in Atlanta.
Yep.
What is the plan? Because we're still in COVID. Atlanta's not.
Everyone else is.
Right, everyone else is, but
Clearly.
you know what I mean. We're open.
Fully.
What's the plan? What's the MO? We getting in the studio? Are we going to write the book? Are we going to how do we move now?
Actually, we're going to do all of those things because I just believe that when God gives you gifts, you need to work all of them. So, previously when I was going through everything I was going through in my training in the deserts of California, because that's the way I refer to it, because I really went to California for prophetic training. I thought I was going that's why God said you must go alone, because it was that process that he was taking me through. So I must write this book because he said so, and I must continue speaking about these things because in the last days, he really has and is continuing to pour out his spirit on everyone. And women, men, children are prophesying, and a lot of supernatural things are happening to people, and they may not always understand how to navigate it or what is happening to them. So those are the type of things that I talk about, that they really do us a grave disservice in church by not talking to us about fully. And so I'm just really bridging that gap. So I'm going to be writing the book, and I'm also going to be publicly speaking about these things as I have continued to do since I've been back, as well as singing. Yes, I would love to get into the studio now that I'm newly back, because music is always the heartbeat of my life.
Right.
And like you all said before, I have a lot of experiences to write about. Like all of those things that we've just been talking about here that I just barely scratched the surface with, I know can minister to people, especially the domestic violence situation, whatever.
Right.
It can minister to people.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I didn't expect all of that.
I know.
I know. I was thinking more musically, but there's it's always one of those things. What lies beneath beneath the surface. If you can go out to Alpharetta and drive past all the wonderful homes and beautiful mansions and stuff that you see, but the truth of the matter is something's going on inside there.
Yeah. And we don't know.
And like you said, everybody in Hollywood wears masks, but there's a lot of masks that people wear.
Oh, everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally. But I tell you what, it's time for us to literally take our mask off and be who God created us to be.
Yeah.
And live freely and live out loud.
Absolutely.
And like you have right there, it says, wake up in your dreams. Is that what it says?
Yes.
Yeah. Wake up in your dreams. Like, really.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's good.
Thank you so much for having me. I bet you weren't expecting all that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I thought we were going to talk music and shop and all that kind of stuff. So book, studio, some acting, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I've done that, too.
Yeah.
And I love theater. So, like I said, I'm newly back in Atlanta, so I'm looking to really link up, with creative minds, great minds.
Now, since you didn't go in the direction of law, would you ever play a lawyer?
Couldn't you see me doing that?
Sure.
I would definitely not say no. I would definitely do that.
I can see you doing it.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
For sure. I could also play the ghetto girl, too.
Oh, God.
ADV.
Hey.
That's funny. Where can people find Tameka Wright?
Well, you could definitely find me on Facebook if you like, but my YouTube channel where I'm speaking about all things spiritual all the time is Daughter of Yeshua. And feel free to send me a message. I always put my information in the description box of my videos. But I would love for you all to check out my testimony. And I'm going to forward that video actually to you, too.
Yes.
The very first one, so that you can check it out and then you can put it out there if you like.
Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, this was good.
Thank you.
This was refreshing.
Thank you for having me.
We were going to talk
I know.
music, but I like to.
You were in for a surprise.
Yeah. Well, you said, hey, ask me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes people need to hear about this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's a break from the
monotony. I
monotony.
had no intention of asking about no
I know.
boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he ain't a boyfriend now.
Well.
He the past.
Yeah.
But yeah. Moving on.
What's the name of the book? Through the peephole? What you say?
Through the peephole.
Y'all better stop trying to title my book for me now.
That's funny. All right, so Daughter of Yeshua, y'all can find that on her YouTube channel. Find her and her testimonies and stuff on her YouTube channel. And you said Facebook, or did you mention any of that? Or
you can definitely feel free to reach out to me on Facebook.
Under Tameka.
Wright.
That's what's up. Well, Tameka Wright, thank you so much for coming through and kicking it with us. You got to keep us posted on what's going on in your world. And now that you're back in Atlanta and all that, you got some gigs or whatever. I like to come out and see you do your thing and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. And I definitely will reach out to you when that happens.
That's what's up. We good? You good, Mr. Dirty?
We good.
That's what's up. It's your boy G-Wade holding it down, G-Wade Podcast, and I'm kicking it alongside with my man Deacon.
Dirty.
Y'all know what it is.
Peace.
Peace.
The G-Wade Podcast.
The G-Wade Podcast.
Bringing you the cool interviews,
the hot topics, and all that other crap.
The G-Wade Podcast with Deacon Dirty.